I want to introduce you, though, to Joseph Broughton. This is Joseph Broughton. He was a United States Senator for a grand total of 3 months. He was elected in 1948. He was sworn in on New Year's Eve, and then he dropped dead in March. And that was it. That was his whole time in the Senate. And so in March, before the people of North Carolina had ever even gotten used to the idea that they had a senator named Joseph Broughton, it was already time to replace him. But the voters didn't get to replace him. The governor of North Carolina got to replace him because it was an unexpectedly open seat. And the governor of North Carolina decided to look to a very prominent North Carolina citizen to take Broughton's Senate seat. He decided to give it to the president of the University of North Carolina. And the president of the University of North Carolina at that time, 1949, was a really interesting guy. He'd come from an academic background. He'd been a history professor, but he ended up proving to be a very politically skilled guy. When he became president of UNC, he made lots of friends in Washington. He turned that into lots of federal funding for UNC. He was also really broad-minded for his time. For example, there had previously been a quota on the number of Jews that UNC would accept at its medical school. But when Frank Porter Graham became the president of UNC, he scrapped the Jew quota. Frank Porter Graham, UNC president, and then in 1949, he was unexpectedly vaulted into the United States Senate when he was asked to fill that open seat when that senator who just won the seat unexpectedly died. But when Frank Porter Graham was given that seat in 1949 in North Carolina, there were certain segments of the population in that state who were not going to stand for a guy like him getting a job like that. And the reason that it's worth talking about today is because you should have seen the campaign that they ran against this guy. Right? He'd been president of UNC, just got appointed to that Senate seat. You should see how they ran against him. Look at this. White people, wake up before it's too late. You might not have another chance. Do you want Negroes working beside you, your wife, and your daughters in your mills and factories? Do you want Negroes eating beside you in all public eating places? Do you want Negroes riding beside you, your wife and your daughters in buses, cabs, and trains? Negroes sleeping in the same hotels and rooming houses? Negroes teaching and disciplining your children in school? Negroes sitting with you and your family at all public meetings? Negroes going to white schools and white children going to Negro schools? Do you want Negroes occupying the same hospital rooms with you and your wife and your daughters? Do you want Negroes as your foremen and overseers in the mills? Do you want Negroes using your toilet facilities? They'd leave that one for last. And it says in the box there, Northern political labor leaders have recently ordered that all doors be open to Negroes on Union property. This will lead to whites and Negroes working and living together in the South as they do in the North. Do you want that? And then we get to the money part of it. Frank Graham, the newly appointed senator, the guy who'd been UNC president, the guy who the governor of North Carolina just put in that open Senate seat. It says at the bottom of this flyer, Frank Graham favors mingling of the races. He admits that he favors mixing Negroes and whites. Do you favor this? Want some more of it? If you do, vote for Frank Graham. But if you don't, vote for and help elect Willis Smith for senator. He will uphold the traditions of the South. That was the Willis Smith campaign for Senate in 1950 in North Carolina. It's like you know this kind of stuff went on, but it kind of takes your breath away to see it, right? The campaign for Willis Smith for Senate that year, they also famously doctored a photo to make it look like the incumbent's wife, to make it look like Frank Porter Graham's wife had been photographed dancing with a black man. It was a fake photo, but they circulated it in North Carolina in that Senate race that year. In 1948, right, it was just the year before Frank Porter Graham had been nominated to that Senate seat, 2 years before this Senate race, President Truman had ordered the desegregation of the U.S. military, right? Famous landmark in American history. 1948, the desegregation of the military, famously that was ultimately a huge success. But in 1948, 1949, when that decision was fresh, in that North Carolina Senate race against Frank Porter Graham, with the wake up white people flyer and the fake photo of his wife with a black man, in that environment, in that Senate race, the desegregation of our military was just another lit match for dry grass. And one of the other things the campaign for Willis Smith did that year in that Senate race is they put out flyers accusing Frank Graham of nominating, God forbid, a black man to go to West Point. And to that kind of audience, to the kind of voters that Willis Smith was trying to scare up for that Senate race, that was almost the ultimate outrage. A black man to West Point? And that almost unbelievable all race, all the time campaign against Frank Porter Graham for that Senate seat in 1950. It worked. Frank Porter Graham had been appointed to that Senate seat after the previous guy died in 1949. But by 1950, thanks to that racist campaign against him, he was voted out. And so Willis Smith became a U.S. Senator. And Willis Smith, I think he knew exactly why he won. Out of all the people who worked on his campaign, he took the guy who had come up with the idea for this flyer. He took the guy who reportedly was the one who personally used the scissors on the doctored photo of Frank Graham's wife with the black man on the dance floor. He took that race specialist from his campaign with him to Washington to be his administrative assistant in the United States Senate on his Senate staff. Interesting, though. Even though he only brought that guy there as a junior staffer, that junior staffer proved to be ambitious and sort of hard to tie down. That junior staffer didn't have all that much interest in staff work in the Senate. Turned out he wanted to keep running those kinds of campaigns. He wanted to keep running campaigns like that Willis Smith campaign that knocked out that incumbent senator in North Carolina in 1950. By 1952, that staffer was back out on the campaign trail again, this time working on a presidential campaign. This time working on the overtly segregationist presidential campaign of a failed presidential candidate but longtime Southern senator named Richard Russell. By 1960, he was back out on another campaign. He was working on a North Carolina governor's race that time, supporting an insurgent candidate in 1960 whose only issue in his run for governor that year was race. This congressional staffer supported a candidate called Bev Lake in that race. Bev Lake only ran for governor because of the insufficient fervor he saw for segregation among the existing conservative white politicians in North Carolina. Quote, "The mixing of our two great races in the classroom and then in the home is not inevitable and not to be tolerated." And so for this one campaign operative who specialized in this kind of stuff, right, this nominally a Senate staffer, but really he was a campaign operative and this was his specialty. Segregation, segregation, segregation. He sort of cornered the market, at least in North Carolina, on running campaigns that turned everything into race, that turned everything into white fear of encroaching black people, particularly near your daughters. And he got good at it over the decades, and he was involved in all these different campaigns, including the one that got him his job in Washington. But finally, this campaign pro, who had run all of these sort of expertly Confederate race-based campaigns, he finally decided that the best candidate he knew of to run for the next big open seat in North Carolina would be himself. And so he denounced Frank Porter Graham's beloved UNC as the University of Negroes and Communists. And he proclaimed that the Civil Rights Act of 1964 was the, quote, single most dangerous piece of legislation introduced in Congress. And he ran himself for the United States Senate seat in North Carolina that was open in 1972. And that is how we got Jesse Helms. And Jesse Helms, Senator Helms, he ultimately got to the Senate too late to stop that hated Voting Rights Act the first time around, because he didn't get there till the 1970s. But when the Voting Rights Act was up for reauthorization for the first time in 1982, Jesse Helms filibustered it, in his words, until the cows came home. He did everything he could to try to get rid of the Voting Rights Act. That was in 1982. In 1983, he led an epic filibuster of the federal holiday that would honor Martin Luther King. When he finally relented with his Martin Luther King filibuster after days of stopping that holiday, the AP interviewed him about what he had done. This is kind of amazing. I stumbled across this today when I was looking at old newspaper clippings. Quote, he said in an interview that he realized his opposition to the bill and his comments about King had angered the black community. But Helms said he didn't expect to get much black support in his re-election bid anyway. Quote, I face reality. The blacks have a history of voting Democratic down the line. And so, screw Martin Luther King. Jesse Helms did overlap with one African-American senator during his entire tenure in the United States Senate. He overlapped with Carol Moseley Braun. Famously, in 1993, Jesse Helms got into a Senate elevator with her and one of her staffers and Senator Orrin Hatch of Utah. And according to all involved, Jesse Helms looked at Carol Moseley Braun, his fellow senator, and then he turned to Orrin Hatch and he said, quote, "Watch me make her cry. I'm going to make her cry. I'm going to sing Dixie until she cries." And Carol Moseley Braun and her press secretary later described it to the LA Times. They said he did, in fact, get right into her face and sing Dixie into her face. Oh, I wish I was in the land of cotton. Old times there are not forgotten. Watch it, I'll make her cry. Jesse Helms's epic filibuster against the Martin Luther King holiday. It's interesting that the AP asked him, like, are you worried about how this is going to affect you politically? Like, you're in a state with a lot of black voters. Not only was he not worried about it, he was doing that on purpose. That's what he was building his political capital on. Filibustering the MLK Day thing, that was something he came back to again and again and again in his political life, proudly. That was something that he was not ashamed of. That was something he used in all of his re-election efforts thereafter, because it can spike a particular kind of white vote if you do stuff like that, even if it costs you most of your black vote or all of your black vote. Can you go negative in the black vote? Even though Jesse Helms did everything he could, though, to block the King holiday, I should tell you that his filibuster on that issue, although it stretched out over a number of days and he used a bunch of different procedures, it didn't end up being a single-person filibuster record. The record longest filibuster ever done in the United States Senate by any one senator all at one time, that record actually is not a Jesse Helms record. That record was also set against civil rights legislation, but it is a record that belongs to this guy.
I want to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that there's not enough troops in the army to force the Southern people to break down segregation and admit the Negro race into our theaters, into our swimming pools, into our homes, and into our churches.
That was Strom Thurmond, South Carolina, 1948. He ran for president that year on a segregation ticket. The basic idea behind his run for president in 1948 was that the two political parties in our country were not racist enough that year, and so Strom Thurmond had to run himself for president in order to create a whole new party specifically to meet the racial needs of his constituents.
The Southern revolt against President Truman reaches its climax at Birmingham under the states' rights banner. Venerable Alfalfa Bill Murray comes out of retirement to join in the protest against the president's civil rights program. More than 6,000 flocked to the Rump Convention to select a presidential ticket. 13 Southern states are represented in the uproarious session which precedes the nomination of Governors Thurmond of South Carolina and Fielding Wright of Mississippi as party standard bearers. Governor Thurmond attacks the civil rights plank.
It simply means that it's another effort on the part of the president to dominate the country by force and to put into effect these uncalled for and these damnable proposals he has recommended under the guise of so-called civil rights. And I'll tell you, the American people from one side or the other had better wake up and oppose such a program. And if they don't, the next thing will be a totalitarian state in these United States.
A fourth party is born.
Strom Thurmond, running for president in 1948 to stop the totalitarianism of civil rights and desegregation. He ran for president. He did all right. Lost. But it wasn't too long. It was 1954 before South Carolina was ready to start electing him to the United States Senate. And South Carolina would not stop doing that for another 40-plus years until Strom Thurmond became the oldest man ever in the United States Senate. He still holds the one-man filibuster record for his more than 24 hours as a one-man filibuster against civil rights legislation. Even at his 100th birthday, though, everybody was still talking about Strom Thurmond's segregationist run for president back in the good old days.
When Strom Thurmond ran for president, we voted for him. We're proud of it. And if the rest of the country had followed our lead, we wouldn't have had all these problems over all these years either.
That was in 2002. And It obviously went over great in the room, but it didn't go over well in the country when Senator Trent Lott said that. I think by 2002, some of the charm of these old Southern guys like Strom Thurmond and Jesse Helms, it was starting to wear off a little bit. At the point he said that at Strom Thurmond's 100th birthday, Trent Lott had been the top Republican in the United States Senate. But 2 weeks after he said that on tape, 2 weeks after he said we would have been better off as a country if the whole country had voted for the segregationist president like Mississippi did back in 1948, 2 weeks after he said that, Trent Lott was gone. He had resigned his post in the Senate. Now, I should tell you, in 2016, Trent Lott is a very, very wealthy lobbyist. Most recently seen this week in the New York Times, enthusing about what a bonanza the Trump administration is going to be for lobbyists like him and his clients. And, ultimately, seeing how well he's doing, Trent Lott is probably better off as a lobbyist and not as a senator anymore. But it's important for us as a country, I think, to know that basically Trent Lott couldn't stay on as a senator. He certainly couldn't stay on as the top Republican senator in Washington once he was caught on tape talking the way he did about Strom Thurmond and his segregationist run for president. I mean, at some point, guys like this, the politics of guys like this, it just became something that normal politics choked on. I mean, there used to be a lot of these guys around. And for a while, it felt like they were all going to live to be 500 years old. But they all mostly died out. And I'm 43 years old, and over the course of my lifetime, I have seen it become ethically unwieldy for anybody in mainstream politics to ally themselves with guys like this anymore. This breed of unreconstructed, white Southern race politicians. Over the course of my lifetime, I have watched most of those guys die out. Most of them. Most of them. Not all of them. That ends up being really, really, really important for what's about to happen next in our country. And that's next tonight here as well.